Welcome to the Lost Signals Discusses Film and TV. Using the revolutionary Manzur-Mosi Thurlow scale,
or MOTS,
we scrupulously review these art forms with an emphasis on narrative structure. Join us for another entertaining episode.
Hello there, and welcome back to Lost Signals, Film and TV. And tonight we are going to do Venom, which has just come out. I, of course, remain your non-symbiote host, Scott Thurlow, and I'm here with Rich Perry and Stephen Amosi.
I'm unenthused about this movie, but enthused about doing the review.
Indeed. So why don't you kick us off with the logline, Steve-O?
This rolled into theaters like a turd in the wind.
Indeed, and it's probably going to roll out as such as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And so, given that, Rich, why don't you tell us about the plot of Venom?
Let's see. Evil scientist finds symbiotes out in space, tries to bond them with human hosts so that they can go out to whatever planet they came from. Along the way, investigative reporter Eddie Brock becomes bonded with one of those symbiotes, teaches him love and acceptance.
He loves.
And really how to enjoy life on Earth.
Yeah.
And they, for some reason, decide to stop the doctor's plan from...
Well, Dr. McEvil
he
scientist
gets, I know along the way he ends up running into another symbiote. And he wants to bring down the millions of symbiotes that are on this
They want to take
asteroid.
over Earth, essentially.
Yeah, they want to take over Earth and eat up all of its people. Somehow find a way to leave and conquer more planets. I don't know.
And Eddie Brock
kind of got muddled at the end.
Yeah.
Long story short, Venom and Eddie are basically the new odd couple for the ages.
And they stop the would-be invasion, I suppose.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Woody Harrelson shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's an actually credit scene, but yeah.
So he's still part of the
counts,
conclusion.
sure. What do you got?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve-O.
It's a plot that is confusing to me. I don't understand why they would make it so muddled and stupid. I think this is a movie that could have been...
Well, it's not muddled. It's just so bare bones. I would think.
I guess, why is he evil?
It seems that way until you actually try to think about it.
Yeah.
I guess the motivation was a little haphazard. We will say that. And that might go to antagonist, I suppose. I see what you mean. I'm looking at a 2 at best, but possibly a 1 just because I thought it was so...
Yeah, I'm giving it a 1 for sure.
You might say, Steve-O, I steal this from you because I recently used it. It was bog standard, more on the bog side of bog standard.
Yes,
completely bland and flat. So that's what I'm looking at. I understood what was happening. It just didn't do a lot to invest me in any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not... I'm not saying it was confusing to follow. I'm saying it was confusing why they made all of the choices that they made.
Okay, fair enough.
And I don't understand it. And it got so muddied for no reason when it could have been very clear. And I don't know. It just seemed like they were trying to write something that they didn't know how to write, I guess, this shouldn't have been a super difficult movie to write, you know?
Well, I don't know, Rich, were they troubled or something? Was it
Yes.
Okay.
So from what I've heard, they, when they had to cut down the movie to make it PG-13, they had cut out a lot of scenes and reworked some of the story.
That would have helped too.
Which is why it seems like some motivations don't really line up.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of change scene to scene.
Sure, but
that's unfortunate. But
it sucks for them.
Yeah.
But what they put on the screen was this flaming hunk of shit.
Yeah, I don't think it's total garbage, but it's just so forgettable. It's the most cookie cutter of all cookie cutter kind of plots ever in the world, a blender of them with the most sour tasting milkshake ever, I guess. But
I'll say this: there are points in this movie where it's fun. And there's a couple
few and far
fight
between,
scenes that are all right, this is okay. And then there's fight scenes that I'm like, who is the choreographer for this? What the fuck is going on in this fight scene? So and then there's some there are scenes where it's I don't understand, why is this in here? And then there are scenes that are what am I missing? Where's the scene that's supposed to go in between these two
Sure.
things? So, like, yeah, you're right. It does feel like a movie that got chopped to shit right before they put it out. And, like...
Which apparently happened.
I mean, I'm not going to give it slack for that. I'll tell you this. I'm going to give it a 1. That's where I'm coming down on this.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on the 1. Like I know I turned to you and said I enjoyed I was like, when the intro happened and that ended, I was like, you know what? I like where this movie's headed.
Yeah.
And then, as if it heard me,
I was like, guess what?
Yeah.
Just you wait.
Just I
Sure.
don't know, peter out. Like, there's things that I enjoyed from the body. I liked the big CGI fight scene at the end.
Mm.
But it's not enough to raise it above a 1.
To get there, yeah. I'm going to agree with you guys. Like, I was going to maybe be generous and give it a 2, but I think I have to just come down a little bit harsher. And yeah, like, it came out recently that Tom Hardy himself said his favorite 40 minutes were cut, which probably is a lot of the scenes that you guys were talking about. That
how could you cut out 40 minutes of the movie?
Yeah.
Well, we just saw how.
Still have a complete...
still have a fucking story.
You don't.
Yeah. And that's why we're giving the 1.
There must have been an entire storyline that they cut out.
But there's like...
or
there's
subplot
also
or
like...
something.
You know,
Subplot,
we'll get to this more later, but there's also all these parts that like just felt like the acting was bad. And like from good actors. Like I like Riz Ahmed. I like Jenny Slate.
Mm.
You know, I like Michelle Williams a lot. I think all 3 of them are terrific
It was quite
actors.
dry.
And there
Maybe
are parts where with all 3 of them where I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? Like, how is... And like Tom Hardy is the only one that really held my interest in his at least his portrayal the entire time. Like the rest of them,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, the rest of them had moments where I was like, "What the fuck is going?" Like, did they replace Michelle Williams with like somebody who fucking forgot how to act or something? Like, actually, Michelle Williams wasn't as bad with that as Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate's part was like, I think they were like, whatever.
Like I said,
do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. Like they just didn't give her direction or something.
Because
like,
the script was so fucking bland with all these characters, which we'll get to. But I see what you mean here. I think it applies, and I think that's why we're all giving it a 1. And I think that's probably about right. Because it just, you just have to sort of pull it up against all the other Marvel and superhero movies, and it doesn't really match up against a lot of them,
right.
or is much weaker compared to them. So yeah, we'll give it a 1 and move on. It'll be themes, and that'll be you, Steve-O. What, if any, were the themes of Venom?
I guess science is going to kill us all, or so. Like they do mention how they throw in this like global warming,
overpopulation thing,
like
2 lines
humans will
about
be
it.
dead within a generation thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
But they don't really speak about that. What they speak about is like, what the real theme of this, I think, or a big important theme of it is like trying to reach for the stars. But like the problem is that the person who's the champion of that in this movie is the fucking evil McEvilson.
Yeah, which makes everything that they say about wanting to enrich science sound like a justification.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, of course.
To be evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and like
evil is their business. He's like
so like Venom's point is that like that he wants to stay and live on Earth even though the scientists of this planet are like, we're all going to die within a generation. He's like, yeah, I'm staying here where everybody's going to die.
I guess.
Instead of taking over with all my symbiote.
Yeah, but if they take over,
Fellow
what's to say that
I'm
they're
sorry,
going to do any
symbiote.
better? Yeah, what's to say they're going to do any better?
Sure.
So their entire plan is to take over hosts and eat the rest of the people that are on the planet.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll probably help out a lot with global warming, to be honest.
Maybe.
They have their own locomotion. It's not like they're burning fossil fuels to get around. They just like
all right.
They just like cruise.
I guess. They're sort of
I don't know.
around
Like, what do you guys think about themes, though?
I don't think there's like you said, they slap on those 2-3 lines like, oh, overpopulation is bad and global warming is going to fuck us all up, so therefore we have to expand. But like you said, and we'll get to it maybe after this, because like he's basically if Elon Musk were completely evil, this is like this guy's plan. Like that's how his character was.
No. You know what the theme is? The theme is Venom. Because the entire movie, that's all this dumbass wanted was to just bond somebody to a symbiote.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I suppose. But like his justification or his excuses were like,
the second
science over humanity, science over ethics.
The
I guess.
second he saw Eddie Brock, he lost his shit.
Yeah.
Like he spent the whole rest of the film fanboying.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It's so like.
It's like he's a representative of all the Venom fans that wanted this movie to come to fruition.
This film, if the script had given a shit, I mean, granted, sure, it got cut up, whatever, but like if this script, as it ended up on celluloid, had given a shit about like any of the like. There's a huge with Venom. There's a huge theme of like the duality of humanity, right? Like,
sure, or at least there could
if
be.
they had tried to explore that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Or like the global warming aspect, instead of just having a couple throwaway lines for fucking people to
mediocre
people who
justification
only
weak at
care
best.
about that to gobble up. Who gives a shit? Like, what audience members like? I'm so glad they mentioned that global warming is going to kill us all. That's all I need. Like, let's not have any conversation or discussion about it at all. Like, I don't understand who that was for, or like why it was in there.
I don't have an answer for you, but I can say I can answer this probably with a 0 for themes, because whatever was there isn't enough. Whatever they thought or like intended to say definitely didn't come
honestly,
through.
when I said the theme was Venom, that was like, I don't think they had a theme in mind.
Yeah.
It was honestly, they just wanted an excuse to have him on film.
Yeah, like here's a Venom movie. Okay, great.
I mean,
but it kind of sucks.
I'd be happy to hear from our audience, anybody who wants to chime in here, if they think that there is a deeper theme,
an actual
in this,
message
but
here.
I just don't see it, so I'm gonna give it a 0.
Yeah, I agree. You agree too, Rich? It seems. All right, well, that'll bring me to antagonists. So you just sort of talked a bit about it. Dr. Scientist Evil Man. Like, he's so fucking generic, and you're right. Like, the actor seemed to be doing his best with what was given.
You may recall Riz Ahmed, the actor,
Yes.
from a film that we saw recently.
What was it?
4 Lions.
Oh, really?
He was the main guy.
You're right. He is the main guy. Okay, yeah. And he was really good in Four Lions.
And he's great. He's a terrific actor. He's been on other stuff. He's a great actor.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. You're right. That's it.
And,
now I do place him from that. So anyways, like, yeah, as you're about to probably call me out on, like, I think he did his best with what was there, but what was there wasn't all that much. So therefore, he seems so stock cardboard, like, I'm evil scientist man, which you have seen this character every fucking movie, like so many movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he was okay with that, but I don't know. And like you guys mentioned, motivations, like that was a little haphazard at best, we'll say. So I'm not knocking him on the performance. Just again, he was asked to portray from the paper of the script itself. So I think I'm leaning towards a soft 0, but I don't think he like. Sure, he was fucking with Eddie Brock and all the other characters, I suppose. But he wasn't. He was like effective, but not. If that makes sense. And he had again, when you become a stock evil scientist like this, you also get free henchmen, security henchman guy who goes down and like does your dirty work.
I don't know. I feel like his effectiveness was only so much as his bank account was still full. Like
that's a good
there
point.
wasn't a single person that that worked for him that had a reason to actually work for him.
Yeah.
Other than like fear of his money.
Yeah.
And his reach.
That's true.
So I got a lot to say about this. I'm sorry. Go on if you have more to say.
No, I'm pretty much.
Yeah, I don't have much more.
Hear this.
Once you hit us.
So this is like the most evil character who it would be so easy to make him relatable. It's insane that they didn't even fucking try.
Or maybe they did again, but it got lost.
To like, hey, no, because from the get-go, he was just Captain McEvil.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. You're right. Dr. Captain McEvil.
His actual goals are really noble. But he is just he goes about trying to get to them in the most evil way. But like, he's like, how could I make this more evil? Instead of trying to figure out how to like fucking take his spaceship out to somewhere important, he's like, I need to make this spaceship trip more evil. It's fucking insane. Like, it makes no sense to me.
That's fucking hilarious, but
like,
you're absolutely right.
What is like? It doesn't seem like the writers thought about his motivation at all. It seems like they thought about, this guy just has to be a real jerk. I also wish
it's like they pull a villain off the rack. Like, okay, enough.
I liked Riot to an extent. In that it was just like a badass he was like a badass killing machine, and like I wish there was more of that character, because that makes sense. Like, he should have immediate rewrite. Make his initial character
the symbiote
really noble.
Yeah, and then
the symbiote corrupts him.
You're right.
How fucking hard is that?
Oh man, then they could have had like
that would have been a perfect fucking.
And then they have like Venom, that's a corrupt symbiote that gets, I guess, corrupted by goodness.
Yes,
by Eddie
exactly.
Brock.
and then you have a theme.
And a nice mirror. Well, you're right.
Like, how? This is in Tuesday. I just thought of that in my head, and it's a better movie.
Suck on that, Sony.
But
I fucking I agree with you. Like, that's it seems like an obvious thing, and it would have worked great. Except, unfortunately, they didn't do any of that shit.
Like, what the hell, man?
So yeah, man.
I don't like. I want. Coming into this, I was like trying to think of a way to give him a 1, and I just can't. He's not good.
He was never gonna get a 1 from me.
Yeah. And like you know, I wanted to give him a 1 for all the things that they could have done with him, and that's just stupid.
Fair enough.
I can't do that. So
yeah, you can't give a 1 to wasted potential, but so therefore we have to give a 0 for what the wasted potential that they gave us.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's move on to protagonists. Speaking of slightly with Rich.
So, for protagonist, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I am going to give Venom a 1 and Eddie Brock a 0.
See, you were mentioning that you were thinking of that. I like it, but that means that you're right. It's strange to score it because of it.
Well, you got to give it a 1 or a 0.
So here's the thing.
I'm going to give it a Schrodinger's 1.
Okay, nice. I'll take that up and expand upon it. Like, yeah, I like that angle. So I think you can maybe like reconcile it. So they think of themselves eventually, at least, as one person, right?
So I guess
so like half of each equals a 1,
yeah.
kind of. I guess. Like yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, one of you I think did that. Each of the actors that had a symbiote did their own like symbiote voices, so it's like them speaking to themselves essentially with like voice effect or whatever. And Tom Hardy's always pretty fucking solid. And I think one of you also said that it seemed as if he was out acting everyone else in the film, pretty much. So like, it went a long way to selling him as Eddie Brock, the character, and the symbiote as well when they started forming their relationship. So all I'm saying is like, I think it's just enough for a soft 1 for me, but still a 1 at the end of the day.
So I guess I should go into my reasons for why I feel that way.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. So I did not, for the most part, like the way that he played Eddie Brock. I didn't like the twitchiness. I didn't like the...
You wanted to be a meathead?
Didn't match with like the original character?
No, I didn't have to match I didn't need him to be a meathead. I just needed him to be less I don't know, less of a complete fuck up. Like it seems like a lot of the decisions he made were just like no-brainers on what you should not do.
He was a foil for the director.
I get
this movie.
Yes, I suppose.
Like,
I see what you mean, Rich.
Like
yeah.
I think what really like brought that home is when he went into Annie's email, got all of her stuff, and then like completely threw that information out there, like knowing full well that it was going to fall back on her.
Yeah, nothing good is going to come of that for sure.
And then just like
he did make stupid decisions. I'll say that, or nonsensical ones.
Once again, terrible writing ruins this movie.
Yeah.
And Venom just made me laugh. Like I just found him awesome. It's like this. It's like, hey, I just want to eat people and say funny shit.
Yeah, their banter was pretty good.
Yeah,
I guess
that might go to dialogue, but I see what you mean.
I guess by the end, since like Venom did inject the personality that I wanted into Eddie Brock.
So you're saying like maybe like limps over the line into a 1, perhaps because of that. Sure.
I don't know. I didn't mind Eddie, the portrayal there. I think Tom Hardy did a really good job with what he had in this movie. I think that he like tried to fucking LeBron this movie and like take it over when he realized that it was going to be garbage. That's what I like to think anyway. He's like, all right, well now I got to chew all this scenery right now because like nobody like their director's not giving anybody else anything. And yeah, like there were a couple of funny jokes, there were a couple of funny lines, a couple of fight scenes were good, and like it was interesting the relationship that he had with Venom, but it could have been so much more. That said, I'm probably going to give him a 1 for protagonist. Okay. I didn't mind Eddie, and I think that in the hands of a lesser actor, it would have been really shitty. Like, and this movie would have been
it would have been so much more. Yeah, I agree with that. So he didn't. Yeah, he went a long way. So yeah, I do like the Venom angle, like I said, and plus Eddie. So I think we're all giving it a 1. Maybe softer ones, but still good enough for a 1.
Yeah,
I would have liked more backstory for Venom.
Yeah, that would have been a bit nice
his,
too.
Like experiences of being...
Thank you. Like the backstory of Venom and Riot would have been awesome, and then you would get like a little of the backstory of the other symbiotes.
Still, what I was hoping for, like you saw Slither, right?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know when the one girl when she's about to get taken over by the parasite, and she like has it by the nails, and it connects with her, and she like gets the memory of the whole species like downloaded in her brain.
Yeah.
And there's like flashes of everything. I was hoping
that would have made a lot of sense to include in this movie.
Exactly. Like I was hoping for one of those where like he just like, oh, this is where I come from, and like this is what's headed towards your planet, and he like sees like all the planets they've either taken
the visions
over
and
like,
stuff,
and just establish that they share knowledge instead of just like vague references to Venom, which was weird because like sometimes he would know stuff about Eddie, and other times he'd be like, well, who is that?
I noticed that.
I don't like they could have explained that, like, or is there a way that Eddie can like block him out of certain parts of his memory? They didn't even fucking hand wave it. They didn't even hand wave it.
They didn't bother trying to. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's a good point, but still, it seems like it's just enough. But you're right. There was so much wasted potential, but at least on this front, it seems it was good enough for us to give it a 1.
I would say,
even though they could have done a lot more. All right, Steve-O, then, why don't you tell us about the secondary characters? Good luck, sir.
Michelle Williams is probably
was in the film
best secondary character, and she was wasted.
Mm-hmm.
She was just horrifically. Yeah, who was better than her?
Nobody.
Of the secondary characters.
Nobody. They're all
Woody
equal.
Harrelson.
I'm not talking about Woody Harrelson. We're not talking about Woody Harrelson.
I can't count that for secondary, but
Jenny Slate,
I'm going to.
Who I like, usually was completely miscast and completely misused after her miscasting.
Yeah.
And just killed off so early, like for no fucking reason. Like
because Scientist Man had to be more evil, like you said.
Yeah. How can we make him more evil? Kill off the whatever.
Why couldn't they just set her up as another symbiote that escapes and then I don't know.
Again, that would have been cool, and maybe they did. We didn't get to see that.
His homeless friend, who like definitely could have been more effective if we knew anything at all about her.
Yeah, we knew she was homeless.
Cool.
Yeah, it would have been nice if Venom had like
she sold him fucking a newspaper for $20. That's what we know about her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, all these characters are just like wastes of opportunities to do better storytelling, and
They're so one-dimensional.
I can't forget that, and I'm gonna give them a 0.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. You cover a lot of it. Like it's just, again, the unfortunate wasted potential of all this stuff, and like it's so bland that. Assuming they did the best they could with what they were given to work with, but that doesn't mean like it's not enough for me, and doesn't translate very well to them being interesting or well done, well integrated characters to surround the rest of the main ones. So I'm giving it a 0.
I'm also giving it a 0.
All right. Well then, that shall bring me to dialogue. So I have a 1 question mark as my initial impression. Like you mentioned it just before, Rich. I liked especially Venom stuff when he's talking to Eddie, and like even like some of their own like interactions when they start, like when Michelle or whatever her name is in the film,
Annie
is driving him.
Annie.
Sure.
Aunt Annie.
Michelle Anna is driving him like to at the end in the van, and like he's talking to her, but also Venom. Like they're both responding to her. Like that was fine. Some of the jokes are pretty good. Like I got a couple of decent chuckles. There was nothing really cringeworthy to me. Maybe you guys might disagree, but in terms of dialogue itself, when it was not great, it was just like bland. It was what it needed to be to keep the plot moving along.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But some of the stuff was okay, and like I said, the standout was the stuff we just said. So I think it's enough, like as of this time, for a 1 for me. But let me hear your thoughts.
No, I agree. I didn't have too much of a problem with dialogue. The only cringy stuff was the after credits. With the whole Carnage thing.
Sure.
That hurt. That hurt me physically.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But
and then I guess like the only other dialogue that I found was like that was bad was every time Drake decided to go in a full on villain for no reason.
Wasn't that every time he was on screen?
Yes. Like when he's
90%.
Like, how are your kids? He's like, do this for your kids. How are your kids?
I'm gonna murder them.
Yeah.
Subtext: I'm gonna murder them.
Yeah, like, by the way, I'm gonna kill them. Like, right, you might as well just said that.
Yeah.
But like, again, it was fine enough. It seems. So, Steve-O, are you giving? Like, what are you giving?
Oh wait, no, I
Sorry,
just remembered. Have a nice life.
Yeah, that's right. They used it too close together. I didn't notice that. I remember that now.
No, they used it too close together, and I turned to see. I was like, you think that's gonna come back?
I feel like they thought that was so badass when they wrote it in the
script. It was like a nasty callback, but
yeah,
it was just lazy.
we're gonna fucking lay this shit down, and everybody's gonna be like, "Bah, what?" And it was so fucking lame.
I was, but not in the way they thought I was gonna be.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this. I might end up giving it a 1 just because you guys are on that side, and I'm kind of siding with you in that, like,
It could have been a lot worse, which is saying a lot.
It's not like
for this.
It's not like the Eddie Brock Venom dialogue was like awesome, but it was good, and it was funny,
yeah.
and it was like enjoyable, and it was a bright spot in a dark movie. Like, by dark I mean like, you know what? Dark is the wrong word.
Boring.
Bad movie is what I meant to say. Like, it was a bright spot in a bad movie, and it, you know, it was enough. I mean, there were points where it bordered on cringeworthy, but it was never really cringeworthy.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
But there were also parts that was like pretty funny.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm gonna probably give it a 1 for that.
Yeah, sure, it might be softer, but again, it wasn't like so atrocious that it's a 0, but it's like, again, just good enough. Like, luckily for the film, I suppose that, like, we agree that it's
lucky
solid.
For you, Venom.
Yeah,
we're gonna give this a 1. Watch your ass.
But we are gonna rewrite your ass as well. But anyway, let's go on to style with you, Rich. Yeah.
So the CGI was okay. Could have been a lot better.
It was noticed to be like
a
little dated, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll say. Go on.
Give this shit to Disney.
Yes. It was about, I think the CG was like about, I don't know, half a decade too old.
Yeah, I would say like maybe like early 2000s. Some of it reminded me of.
The fight scenes I did enjoy. The comedy was a good touch when it hit.
It was decent.
The symbiote designs. The only, like, it was kind of hard to tell Riot apart from Venom at some points.
Yeah.
I didn't really like, I mean, they changed up his head a bit, but
they were pretty similar though, in design, true.
And like the only other ones that were like distinct, they killed off for some stupid fucking reason.
Did they kill all of the other ones?
Yeah.
Was that?
I thought there were only 3.
There were 4 in total.
Okay, I don't remember.
2 of them died because they just somehow,
like, upon re-entry or whatever.
No. They died in testing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they were.
So I'm already forgetting details of this fucking film.
Yeah, they would crawl out of the host, and with nothing else to latch onto, they would
That's
just like fucking die. So what gets me, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on this rant.
Go for it.
Why are Venom and Riot the only ones that talk to their hosts? Like,
I mean, are they?
Yeah, like it would make sense to me that, like, because they're wondering why the symbiotes are eating the hosts. Why the fuck wouldn't one of them be like, get me live prey, or like, get me live food?
Yeah.
Like he does, he's like, food. No, that's dead. I don't want that. Like when he's walking to the restaurant.
Yeah,
why didn't anybody else, like, how did that not dawn on a single one of those idiots?
Because the script sucked. They like forgot to address that at all. But like, yeah, it's a good point. It's funny in retrospect for sure, because it would have made a lot of sense. It would have filled out like the I guess the life cycle, if you will, of the symbiotes.
Yeah, this movie feels like an exercise in like not knowing the writers not knowing who the fuck their characters are, like not knowing anything about how their characters behave, including the symbiotes, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah, you're right. You guys are right.
You're like, that's an absolutely valid thing to say. Like, why wouldn't they just make their hosts, who are human beings, say, I need food. Like, give me food before I fucking die, please. Like, they have all their thoughts. We see that we see that the symbiotes act this way in other hosts. Why don't you just make them act that way in the hosts that, because the plot says they have to fucking die?
Yes.
Like,
plus,
pretty much.
That's
also,
so stupid.
Also, you saw how easy it was for Eddie Brock to break through the fucking glass to free his one homeless friend.
Yeah, Eddie Brock by himself. Like, the symbiote couldn't do that?
Sorry, dudes, he had a chair, please. Let's go.
No, he had a fire extinguisher.
Oh, whatever, yeah, you know.
But even still, like, you see Venom punching through fucking concrete.
True.
Yeah.
Listen, they were still perfecting. I don't know. Like, all right, I'll play devil's advocate.
They weren't as good matches.
Just real quickly, yeah.
That's the argument.
Yeah,
that's what the argument.
That's it, but it's still flimsy as hell.
It's very flimsy.
Yes. So, anyways, Yeah, it's a good point.
What were we on style?
But
Like-
but
I think that's
what the hell
part
are we
of style.
talking about again? But I will say that like for the most, I'm probably gonna give style a 1 because I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed the costume design, like the character design.
Yeah, I mean, it was
despite the fact that it was a little too like obviously CGI at some points. I liked there were some interesting shots, like the long shots of like him climbing up the
some
building.
of the skyline.
Like
that was
skyline,
standout.
stuff like that.
Like the
I think it's a soft one for me. I can't the sound. Actually, I might change to a 0. The soundtrack is horrendous.
Yeah. See, I was gonna bring that up if you didn't.
Oh my god! I just thought of that.
Yeah, well,
I might change it to a
I
0.
actually forgot about that.
So, here's what happened. Yeah.
You're lucky, you son of a bitch.
let's combine all our collective thoughts on style. So yeah, it's good enough. Like it's solid enough, even though some of it is noticeably CGI. But I did like some of the shots and some of the setups and some of the fights, although not all. And then like early on, it was like the first like 20 minutes of the film. They're playing some song. I don't remember what song it was. I was like, this song does not belong in this scene, this transition at all. Like, who the fuck is choosing shit? But then after that, Steve-O, I totally even like didn't notice the soundtrack if there even is one.
There's a leitmotif that goes throughout this entire movie of this like driving. I don't know what song it is, obviously, but like it's like.
Oh yeah, like when he's,
every time that something's happening, it's the same song, and I'm like,
I didn't
stop playing this
notice that at all.
fucking song.
Yeah.
Play a different song,
Like
please.
the motorcycle chase was the
Okay,
And
Yeah.
like that bugged me every time it came on. I think I'm gonna give it a 0. I'm changing it up because solely it was a very soft one before,
and because of that,
solely because
sure.
of the soundtrack, I'm gonna change it up.
That's fair. Like again, like I didn't notice it. It wasn't grating, but it was noticeably like again lackluster, and some of it didn't fit. But it's not enough for me. It's the softest as all ones, but I still think it's good enough. I liked it more than I didn't, even though they certainly mishandled a couple of things, but it didn't grate on me as much. And I did like the costume design. I thought the way the symbiotes moved and so forth, like even when they were separate and when they were bonding, like that was good enough.
I wanted more symbiotes.
Yeah.
I really did. But I guess they didn't have enough budget for the.
Yeah, listen, Sony is not
next
Disney,
movie,
so.
man. Next movie.
Yeah, right.
I feel like
they missed an opportunity in the fight to have Venom start making, I don't know, different appendages with his. Like he never explained why Riot was able to do that more so than him. I guess Venom just
because
lacks
he does shit
imagination.
that you had never seen.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, I guess because Venom just lacks imagination. That's
Is
all.
that it?
Because Venom said he's kind of a loser on his planet, while Riot is a bigwig or
Could you
whatever.
imagine that everybody else is like turning themselves into shapes? He's just like, oh man, like I got muscles. Like,
I can't think of shapes. I guess I must be nobody.
Guess there must be no symbiote.
That's why
what are you
really-
giving it? What are you giving it, Zach?
I'm gonna give it a soft one.
All right, me too.
Soft
Like
one.
the softest of all ones, but it just
Because they're throwing the soft ones in there.
it's like 65-55 or whatever or 45, whatever. A very close difference, but just enough. So that will bring me to a recommendation. Now, don't. No, I'm sorry. Actually, it won't. It's Steve-O. Your recommendation.
Sure.
My bad.
No.
Just repeat what I said.
Yeah. It's you know what? I'm not going to not recommend it, but I'm also not going to recommend it. I'm going to give this a 0, but I'm not going to say, like, you should never watch this movie. Like, it's dumb, fun, if you can completely turn off your brain, not think about anything in it, and, like, just watch fucking Venom. The problem is there's not enough Venom in it. Venom doesn't actually show up until, like, 45 minutes into the movie, right? Like,
wait, is it really that long?
Yeah, it's forever
it's about 40 minutes, roughly.
Before Eddie Brock gets the symbiote, and like the entire time you're watching like some fucking, random string of strangers carry a symbiote who never actually does anything except for like kill 6 people at a market in Asia, like across the goddamn world. And yeah, I think it's literally like 45 minutes before Venom even emerges.
That little girl after he jumped into the scientist.
Unexplained. Maybe she ran away. We'll never know.
Might have eaten her.
The film doesn't give a shit about that. And Why should we? Although, good question.
I'm sure he just like gave her a sandwich and sent her on her way. That's fine. So no, I'm not going to recommend it, but it's dumb fun. Just fast forward until Venom shows up and then watch it from that point on.
I would say
all the shit before that is pointless.
Yeah, I would say not that I condone pirating, but don't go pay to see this movie. But it's all right.
I condone pirating.
I'm probably gonna not recommend it more than I do. So again, like mostly what you said, Steve-O, it's not terrible, but we're not gonna get running. The scores are looking not good. That is to say,
Ooh, this is much worse than I thought it was.
Yeah. So maybe it's not reflective necessarily quite that bad, but it's skippable. Like you don't need to see this one. You can go watch another Disney Marvel movie instead of this one. So, like, I think, again, they mishandled it. I would love to see the 40 minutes that were cut when I'm assuming they're eventually going to put that out on whatever special edition. But as is, I'd be like, don't worry about it. Like, watch it when it comes on in fucking, like, movie channels like a year or two from now.
So, you know, like Steve-O said, this is shut off your brain and have fun movie. And I enjoyed the movie before I started having to apply rational
thinking logic. About it, yeah.
Definitely don't get that fridge logic on it.
Yeah, like when I had to start thinking about it for the podcast, like I knew I was going to grade it low, but I would still. I mean, just fuck it. It's a Venom movie.
Okay.
Like if you want to go see it, and then make your own case for it.
Did you want to go see it?
I was always going to go see it.
So that's a 1 for you?
I was like 50-50 on it. I'm like, it's almost like we have to cover it, but I wasn't opposed.
You heard me the entire time. Like when it was announced and the trailers came out, I knew this movie was going to suck.
Yeah.
But I still was going to see it anyway.
That's fair, man.
So I guess they won in the end.
So that's a recommend.
Yep.
You tell people to also go spend your hard-earned $15.
Richard Simby is telling him to recommend it to people.
On this movie. All right.
No, not $15. Find a nice mom and pop theater.
There you go.
Go to Denellen.
Spend $10.
Go to Denellen, get a pitcher and a pizza.
A local theater. Yeah, like I said, I don't condone pirating, but wink, wink.
Also, by the way, shout out to a great local theater. Anybody's in this New Jersey, Central Jersey area, go to Denellen.
Jersey, keep it real here.
Yeah. Get a great pizza and a pitcher.
Sure. All right.
It's free ads.
Yes. Yeah. We should. Yeah. We should.
Off-topic
conversation.
That'd be great.
Offline a conversation, but I will give you guys the final breakdown. Rich, you've given it the highest with a 5, middle of the road. I've given it a 4. Steve-O, you have given it a 3, which comes out to 4 overall, which is a little lower. Like I thought it might be a 5, but I feel like as if it's not too far off either. It's middle of the road. It's mediocre kind of at best.
I'll say this. This is right around the score that Fantastic Four got.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four is a much worse movie than Venom.
That is true. Well, Fantastic Four got lower than a 4. I know that for sure. That's
I think it was like a 3.75 or something like that. But it was close to the same score.
The remake?
The new one.
Yeah. The newest one.
Oh, God. I kind of want to go back and listen to that.
That was one of the first. That was I think the first or second year. But,
I encourage you folks out there also go back and make it a double feature between this and that.
Yeah.
But that reminds me. Also, recently we gave Predator less than the new Predator, the Predator that is, less than a 4. So take it as it will.
I think the Predator was a better movie than
Predator Redux.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were both
Predator versus Venom.
Yo, I would actually kind of see that, maybe. Again, we've been banging out ideas that Hollywood should jump on instead of making this, whatever happened with this movie.
Come talk to us, Hollywood.
Predator versus Venom versus Ash.
My schedule's wide open for any Hollywood execs.
Yeah, hit us up. We're not always doing business, but we're always open. So anyways, that'll be it. Like I said, Venom has gotten a 4, and I've been, again, your somewhat volatile symbiote, Scott Thurlow, here with Rich Perry.
We are hoping for a better movie next time.
Yep, and Stephen Amosi.
We say goodbye.
Good night.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates. Or mods?